Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to our daily Bible reading. Thank you for joining. Today is week 31. We are on day 2. Today we will pick up in 2 Kings chapters 13 and 14, then read 2 Chronicles chapter 25, the 53rd Psalm, and Matthew chapter 12. All right, here we go. Let's read. 2 Kings chapter 13. In the 23rd year of Joash the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoahaz the son of Jehu began to reign over Israel and Samaria for 17 years. He did that which was evil in the Lord's sight, and followed the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, with which he made Israel to sin. He didn't depart from it. The Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he delivered them into the hand of Hazael king of Syria, and into the hand of Ben-Hadad the son of Hazael, continually. Jehoahaz begged the Lord, and the Lord listened to him, for he saw the oppression of Israel, how the king of Syria oppressed them. The Lord gave Israel a Savior, so that they went out from under the hand of the Syrians, and the children of Israel lived in their tents as before. Nevertheless, they didn't depart from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, with which he made Israel to sin, but walked in them. And the Asherah also remained in Samaria. For he didn't leave to Jehoahaz of the people any more than 50 horsemen, and 10 chariots, and 10,000 footmen. For the king of Syria destroyed them, and made them like the dust in threshing. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz, and all that he did, and his might, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? Jehoahaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria, and Joash his son reigned in his place. In the 37th year of Joash king of Judah, Jehoash the son of Jehoahaz began to reign over Israel and Samaria for 16 years. He did that which was evil in the Lord's sight. He didn't depart from all the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, with which he made Israel to sin, but he walked in them. Now the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did, and his might with which he fought against Amaziah king of Judah, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? Joash slept with his fathers, and Jeroboam sat on his throne. Joash was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Now Elisha became sick with the illness of which he died, and Joash the king of Israel came down to him, and wept over him, and said, my father, the chariots of Israel and its horsemen. Elisha said to him, take bow and arrows. And he took bow and arrows for himself. He said to the king of Israel, put your hand on the bow. And he put his hand on it. Elisha laid his hands on the king's hands. He said, open the window eastward. And he opened it. Then Elisha said, shoot. And he shot. He said, the Lord's arrow of victory, even the arrow of victory over Syria, for you will strike the Syrians in Aphek until you have consumed them. He said, take the arrows. And he took them. He said to the king of Israel, strike the ground. And he struck 3 times and stopped. The man of God was angry with him. He said, you should have struck 5 or 6 times. Then you would have struck Syria until you had consumed it. But now you will strike Syria just 3 times. Elisha died, and they buried him. Now the bands of the Moabites invaded the land at the coming in of the year. As they were burying a man, behold, they saw a band of raiders, and they threw the man into Elisha's tomb. As soon as the man touched Elisha's bones, he revived, and stood up on his feet. Hazael king of Syria oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoahaz. But the Lord was gracious to them, and had compassion on them, and favored them because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and would not destroy them, and he didn't cast them from his presence as yet. Hazael king of Syria died, and Ben-Hadad his son reigned in his place. Jehoash the son of Jehoahaz took again out of the hand of Ben-Hadad the son of Hazael the cities which he had taken out of the hand of Jehoahaz his father by war. Joash struck him 3 times, and recovered the cities of Israel. Chapter 14. In the 2nd year of Joash, son of Joahaz, king of Israel, Amaziah the son of Joash, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jehoaddan of Jerusalem. He did that which was right in the Lord's eyes, yet not like David his father. He did according to all that Joash his father had done. However, the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burned incense in the high places. As soon as the kingdom was established in his hand, he killed his servants who had slain the king his father. But the children of the murderers he didn't put to death, according to that which is written in the book of the law of Moses, as the Lord commanded, saying, The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the fathers, but every man shall die for his own sin. He killed 10,000 Edomites in the valley of Salt, and took Selah by war. Chapter 14. In the 2nd year of Joash, son of Joahaz, king of Israel, Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, began to reign. He was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jehoaddin of Jerusalem. He did that which was right in the Lord's eyes, yet not like David his father. He did according to all that Joash his father had done. However, the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places. As soon as the kingdom was established in his hand, he killed his servants who had slain the king his father. But the children of the murderers he didn't put to death, according to that which is written in the book of the law of Moses, as the Lord commanded, saying, The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the fathers, but every man shall die for his own sin. He killed 10,000 Edomites in the valley of Salt, and took Selah by war, and called its name Joktheel to this day. Then Amaziah sent messengers to Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, Come, let's look one another in the face. Jehoash the king of Israel sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, Give your daughter to my son as wife. Then a wild animal that was in Lebanon passed by and trampled down the thistle. You have indeed struck Edom, and your heart has lifted you up. Enjoy the glory of it, and stay at home. For why should you meddle to your harm, that you fall, even you and Judah with you? But Amaziah would not listen. So Jehoash, king of Israel, went up, and he and Amaziah, king of Judah, looked one another in the face at Beth Shemesh, which belongs to Judah. Judah was defeated by Israel, and each man fled to his tent. Jehoash, king of Israel, took Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Jehoash, the son of Ahaziah, at Beth Shemesh, and came to Jerusalem, then broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate, 400 cubits. He took all the gold and silver and all the vessels that were found in the Lord's house and in the treasures of the king's house, the hostages also, and returned to Samaria. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoash which he did, and his might, and how he fought with Amaziah king of Judah, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? Jehoash slept with his fathers, and was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel, and Jeroboam his son reigned in his place. Amaziah the son of Joash king of Judah lived after the death of Jehoash son of Jehoahaz king of Israel 15 years. Now the rest of the acts of Amaziah, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? They made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem, and he fled to Lachish. But they sent after him to Lachish and killed him there. They brought him on horses, and he was buried at Jerusalem with his fathers in David's city. All the people of Judah took Azariah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in the place of his father Amaziah. He built Elath and restored it to Judah. After that, the king slept with his fathers. In the 15th year of Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, began to reign in Samaria for 41 years. He did that which was evil in the Lord's sight. He didn't depart from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, with which he made Israel to sin. He restored the border of Israel from the entrance of Hamath to the sea of Arabah, according to the Lord, the God of Israel's word, which he spoke by his servant Jonah, the son of Amittai, the prophet, who was from Gath-hepher. For the Lord saw the affliction of Israel, that it was very bitter for all, slave and free, and there was no helper for Israel. The Lord didn't say that he would blot out the name of Israel from under the sky, but he saved them by the hand of Jeroboam the son of Joash. Now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam, and all that he did, and his might, how he fought, and how he recovered Damascus and Hamath, which had belonged to Judah for Israel, aren't they written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? Jeroboam slept with his fathers, even with the kings of Israel, and Zechariah his son reigned in his place. 2 Chronicles chapter 25. Amaziah was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jehoaddan of Jerusalem. He did that which was right in the Lord's eyes, but not with a perfect heart. Now when the kingdom was established to him, he killed his servants who had killed his father the king, but he didn't put their children to death, but did according to that which is written in the law in the book of Moses, as the Lord commanded, saying, The fathers shall not die for the children, neither shall the children die for the fathers, but every man shall die for his own sin. Moreover, Amaziah gathered Judah together, and ordered them according to their fathers' houses, under captains of thousands and captains of hundreds, even all Judah and Benjamin. He counted them from 20 years old and upward, and found that there were 300,000 chosen men, able to go out to war, who could handle spear and shield. He also hired 100,000 mighty men of valor out of Israel for 100 talents of silver. A man of God came to him, saying, O king, don't let the army of Israel go with you, for the Lord is not with Israel, with all the children of Ephraim. But if you will go, take action, and be strong for the battle, God will overthrow you before the enemy, for God has power to help and to overthrow. Amaziah said to the man of God, But what shall we do for the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel? The man of God answered, The Lord is able to give you much more than this. Then Amaziah separated them, the army that had come to him out of Ephraim, to go home again. Therefore their anger was greatly kindled against Judah, and they returned home in fierce anger. Amaziah took courage, and led his people out, and went to the valley of Salt, and struck 10,000 of the children of Seir. The children of Judah carried away 10,000 alive, and brought them to the top of the rock, and threw them down from the top of the rock, so that they were all broken in pieces. But the men of the army whom Amaziah sent back, that they should not go with them to battle, fell on the cities of Judah from Samaria even to Beth-horon, and struck of them 3,000, and took much plunder. Now after Amaziah had come from the slaughter of the Edomites, he brought the gods of the children of Seir, and set them up to be his gods, and bowed down himself before them, and burned incense to them. Therefore the Lord's anger burned against Amaziah, and he sent to him a prophet, who said to him, Why have you sought after the gods of the people, which have not delivered their own people out of your hand? As he talked with him, the king said to him, Have we made you one of the king's counselors? Stop! Why should you be struck down? Then the prophet stopped and said, I know that God has determined to destroy you, because you have done this and have not listened to my counsel. Then Amaziah, king of Judah, consulted his advisers, and sent to Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, king of Israel, saying, Come, let's look one another in the face. Joash, king of Israel, sent to Amaziah, king of Judah, saying, The thistle that was in Lebanon sent to the cedar that was in Lebanon, saying, Give your daughter to my son as his wife. Then a wild animal that was in Lebanon passed by and trampled down the thistle. You say to yourself that you have struck Edom, and your heart lifts you up to boast. Now stay at home. Why should you meddle with trouble, that you should fall, even you and Judah with you? But Amaziah would not listen, for it was of God, that he might deliver them into the hand of their enemies, because they had sought after the gods of Edom. So Joash, king of Israel, went up, and he and Amaziah, king of Judah, looked one another in the face at Beth-shemesh, which belongs to Judah. Judah was defeated by Israel, so every man fled to his tent. Joash, king of Israel, took Amaziah, king of Judah, the son of Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, at Beth-shemesh, and brought him to Jerusalem, and broke down the wall of Jerusalem from the gate of Ephraim to the corner gate, 400 cubits. He took all the gold and silver, and all the vessels that were found in God's house with Obed-Edom, and the treasures of the king's house, and the hostages, and returned to Samaria. Amaziah, the son of Joash, king of Judah, lived for 15 years after the death of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel. Now the rest of the acts of Amaziah, first and last, behold, aren't they written in the book of the kings of Judah and Israel? Now from the time that Amaziah turned away from following the Lord, they made a conspiracy against him in Jerusalem. He fled to Lachish, but they sent after him to Lachish and killed him there. They brought him on horses and buried him with his fathers in the city of Judah. That was an interesting twist there in the addition in the parallel or complementary reading from Kings and Chronicles, that the king had taken a bunch of gods and was worshiping them. Foolish man. Which caused his destruction. In fact, I think Psalm 53 touches on that. Here we go. Psalm 53. For the chief musician, to the tune of Mahalath, a contemplation by David. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, and have done abominable iniquity. There is no one who does good. God looks down from heaven on the children of men to see if there are any who understand, who seek after God. Every one of them has gone back. They have become filthy together. There is no one who does good. No, not one. Have the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread, and don't call on God? There they were in great fear, where no fear was, for God has scattered the bones of him who encamps against you. You have put them to shame, because God has rejected them. Oh, that the salvation of Israel would come out of Zion. When God brings back his people from captivity, then Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. All right, and now to the glory that comes out of Zion, Jesus the Christ. Matthew chapter 12, here we go. At that time, Jesus went on the Sabbath day through the grain fields. His disciples were hungry and began to pluck heads of grain and to eat. But the Pharisees, when they saw it, said to him, Behold, your disciples do what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath. But he said to them, Haven't you read what David did when he was hungry, and those who were with him, how he entered into God's house and ate the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, nor for those who were with him, but only for the priests? Or have you not read in the law that on the Sabbath day the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are guiltless? But I tell you that one greater than the temple is here. But if you had known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, you wouldn't have condemned the guiltless, for the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. He departed from there and went into their synagogue. And behold, there was a man with a withered hand. They asked him, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? So that they might accuse him. He said to them, What man is there among you who has one sheep, and if this one falls into a pit on the Sabbath day, won't he grab it onto it and lift it out? Of how much more value, then, is a man than a sheep? Therefore it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath day. Then he told the man, Stretch out your hand. He stretched it out, and it was restored whole, just like the other. But the Pharisees went out and conspired against him, how they might destroy him. Jesus, perceiving that, withdrew from there. Great multitudes followed him, and he healed them all, and commanded them that they should not make him known, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken through Isaiah the prophet, saying, Behold, my servant whom I have chosen, my beloved in whom my soul is well pleased. I will put my spirit on him. He will proclaim justice to the nations. He will not strive nor shout, neither will anyone hear his voice in the streets. He won't break a bruised reed. He won't quench a smoking flax until he leads justice to victory. In his name, the nations will hope. Then one possessed by a demon, blind and mute, was brought to him, and he healed him, so that the blind and mute man both spoke and saw. All the multitudes were amazed, and said, Can this be the son of David? But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, This man does not cast out demons except by Beelzebub, the prince of demons. Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said to them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself will not stand. If Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then will his kingdom stand? If I by Beelzebub cast out demons, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore they will be your judges. But if I by the Spirit of God cast out demons, then God's kingdom has come upon you. Or how can one enter into the house of the strong man and plunder his goods, unless he first bind the strong man? Then he will plunder his house. He who is not with me is against me, and he who doesn't gather with me scatters. Therefore I tell you, every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven men, but the blasphemy against the Spirit will not be forgiven men. Whoever speaks a word against the Son of Man, it will be forgiven him. But whoever speaks against the Holy Spirit, it will not be forgiven him, either in this age or in that which is to come. Either make the tree good and its fruit good, or make the tree corrupt and its fruit corrupt, for the tree is known by its fruit. You offspring of vipers, how can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. The good man out of his good treasure brings out good things, and the evil man out of his evil treasure brings out evil things. I tell you that every idle word that men speak, they will give account of it in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Then certain of the scribes and Pharisees answered, Teacher, we want to see a sign from you. But he answered them, An evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, but no sign will be given to it but the sign of Jonah the prophet. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the huge fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will stand up in the judgment with this generation and will condemn it, for they repented at the preaching of Jonah, and behold, someone greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will rise up in the judgment with this generation and will condemn it, for she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, someone greater than Solomon is here. When an unclean spirit has gone out of a man, he passes through waterless places seeking rest, and doesn't find it. Then he says, I will return into my house from which I came. And when he has come back, he finds it empty, swept, and put in order. Then he goes and takes with himself 7 other spirits more evil than he is, and they enter in and dwell there. The last state of that man becomes worse than the first. Even so will it be also to this evil generation. While he was yet speaking to the multitudes, behold, his mother and his brothers stood outside, seeking to speak to him. One said to him, Behold, your mother and your brothers stand outside, seeking to speak to you. But he answered him who spoke to him, Who is my mother? Who are my brothers? He stretched out his hand towards his disciples and said, Behold, my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father who is in heaven, he is my brother and sister and mother. All right, that's a reading for today. Hey, thank you for joining. You know, there's a recurring theme here in the readings we've had for the past theme. It's happened twice in the readings we've had in the past week or so. If you recall, there was a woman who was destitute. She was a widow. Her husband had died. She had some sons who were getting ready to be made slaves. And so she came to the prophet and said, What am I going to do? I don't have anything. And she was asked what she did have. All she had was a jar of oil. That was it. So she was told to go out and get oil jars, get some jars from her neighbors, and she gathered them together and started pouring the oil in. If you recall this, she starts pouring the oil, and the oil lasted until the jars were full, at which point the oil stopped. And she had oil that she sold to pay the creditor, and she kept her sons from going into slavery, and then lived on the rest until the end of a famine, or until she was able to do better. She lived on it. So the oil was valuable. But she had a limited number of jars, limited to how many she could gather together, not knowing what was going to happen, I guess. And here this king is standing with Elisha, and he's at the end of Elisha's life, and Elisha gives him a cue and says, shoot an arrow. So he shoots an arrow and goes, that's what's going to happen. Now take the arrows and strike the ground. Okay, strike, strike, strike. Well, Elisha was angry at him, which means Elisha must have believed that he knew, like, man, get with it. like beat the ground, right? So the two stories both. If this woman had just like gotten more jars, said, hang on, let's not start pouring oil yet. Let's not start pouring oil yet. Let's get more jars. He would have kept pouring. If he'd have struck the ground and struck the walls, beat a rug with those arrows, he might, as Elisha said, he would have beat them to dust, but he didn't. He didn't show fervor, I guess I'm saying is if you feel the Lord's getting ready to bless you with some fried chicken, get a bigger bucket, Or if the Lord's going to bless you financially, why wouldn't you just get a bigger bank, a bigger vault, a bigger safe deposit box, and expect it to be, make room? If the Lord doesn't do what we want, He's not a genie in a bottle. He doesn't do what we want Him to do, but make room or allowance for the Lord's blessing. Boil it down to that. There you go. Make allowance for the Lord's blessings in our lives. Be ready for His blessings. He may let us be poor. He may let us be rich. He may give us blessings of children. If He's going to bless you with kids, maybe have room. Keep the crib. Whatever. The Lord is so good. Thank you for joining to read. Would you please like and subscribe and join again? We'll continue on in our reading here tomorrow. Have a very blessed day.